Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jonathan Feist for Drone Rush, and this is the DJI Mavic Mini. Alright, so we've already talked about this tiny little drone. It's time to go a little bit more in depth. Let's do a full review. So DJI may have gone back to the drawing board to figure out a way to make this drone extremely light. But one thing they didn't compromise on was the form factor. If you've flown a DJI Mavic Pro or Mavic 2 Pro, Mavic 2 Zoom, you are absolutely familiar with the shape and design, form and function of this drone. The DJI Mavic Mini, just like the instructions say, folds apart and pulls together just like the other Mavic drones. This time around, however, you are not getting quick release propellers. They're held on by screws. Each half of the propeller is its own piece. So if you happen to chip one, you can replace half of the propeller instead of the full deal. The really big news here is this number. You see it there? 249 grams. That's 0.548 pounds. And that's a very important number in a lot of countries around the globe. Here in the United States, the FAA says that any drone that weighs 0.55 pounds or more must be registered before you fly. Being as the Mavic Mini weighs less than 0.55 pounds, you do not have to register before you take off. That being said, it's still a drone, there's still rules in the sky, you still have to get airspace authorization if you're flying near airports and the controlled airspace and stuff. So don't think that there's no rules, you just don't have to register before you fly. Now that may not be a big deal, it's $5 to register, you're to be 13 years old, just hop on the FAA website, put in the serial number, 3-year registration, attach that number to the side of the drone so it's visible from the outside nice and easy. You're registered, you're safe, you're good to go. Now that's for residents of the country. If you don't live in the United States, and this is true for myself going back up to Canada. In Canada, any drone 250 grams or larger, and you need your drone license for starters, and then you have a bunch of different rules to follow. But I can go up there with my 249 gram drone and fly it without license, without registration, and they actually have a lot less drone rules to follow for this weight class. So where portability and ease of use come to mind, the Mavic Mini is a superb little drone. That being said, it is a little drone. You've seen drones like the Mavic Pro, of course, the Mavic 2 Zoom, the Mavic 2 Pro. These are larger, heavier drones. They have bigger cameras on them, and they have much more capabilities, especially when it comes to obstacle avoidance. One of the things that DJI had to remove from the Mavic Mini to reduce the weight was, again, these sensors for obstacle avoidance. Some of those are up front here in these little vents. Now on the other drones, these are actual camera sensors that help identify objects and avoid collisions. The Mavic Mini, however, these are purely aesthetic. Some of the other slots that were obstacle avoidance sensors in the bigger drones are now just heat vents, which is a great thing, keep the drone nice and cool while in the air. Now what the Mavic Mini does instead is uses the camera and a visioning system to make sure you don't run into anything forwards, but on the bottom it still has vision sensors to help you with your guided landing, and of course to get the distance to the ground so you never crash into it. The Mavic Mini is a GPS equipped drone, making the ease of use and ease of flight and controls as easy as all of the other DJI products. It looks like a tiny package, but it performs quite well. You can get up to about 29 miles per hour in sport mode. We were getting 18 to 19 miles per hour in the standard mode. And best of all is the battery life. DJI says the Mavic Mini will get you up to 30 minutes in the sky. We never pushed it and tried to get the maximum battery range out of it, but on a colder day we were up there, we put 2 batteries to the test so far. We got about 16 minutes each on each battery, and we landed with about 45% battery remaining. So DJI's claims seem to be on par. Of course, we weren't flying gently either. We were putting the drone to the test. Now, putting this drone to the test includes using the camera. Hidden under this little cover is a 2.7K video shooting 12 megapixel, 3-axis stabilized gimbal, fancy little camera. It shoots at 40 megabits per second of a data rate. That's much slower than the 60 megabits of the Mavic Pro with 100 megabits per second of the Mavic Air and the Mavic 2 series. But that being said, the final video output, we're quite impressed with it. In between all the rain, we had no choice but to take what little bit of sun we could, and that was a challenging situation for the drone. Of course, we had the wet ground, a nice creek in the background as well, and it was a little bit later in the afternoon, so the sun was getting a little bit lower in the sky, which means big shadows, lots of dark spots in the ground behind trees and buildings, and then the bright sunny spot itself. Drone camera staring at the sun creates lots of flare and noise in the lens. As you can see, when the camera was facing the opposite direction with the sun behind it, some great shots. We felt that the overall imagery was a little bit muted. Now that's a great thing for post-editing. You can run the video and photo through software, bump those colors, bump the contrast, bump the brightness, get exactly what you want out of it. Of course, if you're looking for just straight ease of use, as I say, the colors are a little bit muted, which is fairly standard for most drones, but we did expect a little bit more saturation out of the video. Getting into some of the hardware of the drone, the battery plops into the back here. There's a little cave that opens up, and the battery itself is a simple little 2-cell unit, but if you get the Fly More combo, it comes with this handy case which holds 3 batteries and operates as a battery pack. Now, it's not that the case has power to charge the drone batteries, it's that the drone batteries are able to push power out to your cell phone, for example. It's a neat and convenient feature, and it's all built into the charging dock for the batteries. And one of my favorite things about this overall, versus some of the older designs of charging hubs from DJI, where they were all gravity based and they just kind of attached together and you had to leave them sitting there. The batteries are locked in. So in terms of taking your drone on the go, DJI Mavic Mini, total winner. Speaking of taking it on the go, the remote control. It's the same size and general form factor as most of the other smaller DJI drones. It is a simpler controller. You notice there's far fewer buttons and no display than any other DJI drone from the Spark and Mavic series. Partly that's to keep things simple, keep them great and safe for beginning users, but also they've moved some of that tech into their new DJI Fly application. We'll talk about that in a bit. For now, we love that they've stuck with the removable joysticks for the remote control. And now they have a satisfying snap when you attach them in underneath. So risk of loss is a little bit lighter than it used to be. They just screw on, nice and simple, good to go. Now I don't know how the form and fit and finish is for all of the controllers, but mine, the antenna, which are supposed to snap together, it will, but it's so tight that I had a really hard time getting it open, so I'm just leaving it slightly touching. Like always though, the feet open up, holds up to a 6-inch phone comfortably, and make sure you open and twist the antenna to ensure they're pointing at the drone as it's in the air. Remote connectivity is down from the larger Mavic drones. They were capable of 7 to 8 kilometers of distance. The Mavic Mini is good for 4 kilometers range. That's about 2.5 miles. Now, users that opt for the Fly More combo also get a nice little case. Opens up, holds the charging hub, controller, some spare parts, and the drone itself. I also found that I could lay my phone over top of the charging hub, and it fit there nicely to bring that along as well. I'll admit, I wish there was some sort of zippered pocket to put extra SD cards, extra cables, but we can always tuck them into the accessories box. The Fly More combo also comes with extra propellers, a big set of 360 coverage propeller guards, and a few extra screws and a nice little screwdriver. Operating the DJI Mavic Mini is a lot like previous DJI drones. Plug in your battery, close the door, and head underneath for that power button. As always, it's a tap and then hold, and then the drone will boot up. It does a motor check, checks the gimbal, and then you're ready to go. Of course, you'll need to boot up the remote control and attach your smartphone as well. Unlike previous DJI drones, I very much do not recommend flying without a smartphone attached. It can be done, joysticks down and in simultaneously, to activate the motors, and of course throttle up to take off into the sky, return to home button, and then of course your video and photo buttons, plus a dial to control the gimbal. It's all there, it all operates very well, but without the screen and some of the additional controls like the pause button, that emergency stop, and especially without control of what mode the drone is in. The remote control itself is for basic navigation. The app on your smartphone is for all of the important controls. The Mavic Mini comes in 3 modes. There's the Cinesmooth, they call it. You might know it as the old tripod mode. Reduces the speed of the drone, reduces the speed the gimbal tilts at, and all of its actions are much slower and smoother. This is great for first-time pilots, other beginners, and of course to capture those silky smooth shots from the sky. The next mode is called P mode, or position mode. Now position mode is your default active mode for DJI drones. You're using your GPS connectivity, and it's also using all of the available obstacle avoidance sensors. It has a moderate speed to it. Again, we were getting about 18 or 19 miles per hour top speed out of it, but it's about as fast as the drone can go to ensure still smooth camera operations. And then finally, you have sport mode. I don't think sport mode needs much explanation. Your high-speed mode up to 29 miles per hour, and your obstacle avoidance sensors have been turned off. Now the camera still works, the gimbal is still stabilized, but the drone is going to react and fly fast enough that if you're jerky on the sticks, you will see it come through the gimbal through the video. However, if you're smooth on the sticks, this increases your top speed, and you can try and keep up with a car, a bird, a dog, whatever you're chasing with your camera. Hey, wait a minute, I think I just noticed something. I think I'm wearing the exact same shirt I was wearing when I met with DJI and team in New York at the launch event for the Mavic Mini. Now, if you haven't seen that, click that link and go check it out. And then when you come back here, consider subscribing, hit that bell icon, and hey, let's get into some footage from the drone. Let's see what this Mavic Mini can do in the sky. As I mentioned, you can see that the drone is up in some challenging situations here, but I made sure to take shots of various angles with sun facing the camera, sun behind the camera, and so forth. The goal, obviously, was to show the capabilities for the automatic and default functions from this drone. For those of you looking for more info on the camera, its capabilities, and everything it can do, stay tuned. I'll be putting together a camera overview. In that, we'll talk about the actual flight features available with the Mavic Mini as well, including a basic set of quick shot modes. For now, we're just doing an overview of what the camera is capable of. You're seeing some video, 2.7K recorded. That's completely untouched here, what you're seeing. We haven't done any color correction, nothing at all. That's just straight from the drone. And then a few photos as well. You can see that they look quite good, which they should, because the drone may be limiting itself to 2.7K video capture, but it's still a 1/2.3 inch 12 megapixel sensor, the same as you've seen in the Mavic Air and the Mavic Pro. So what it all boils down to, the DJI Mavic Mini is a super drone, especially for beginning pilots. This is also a great portable drone for those of you that are into larger drones, but just need something smaller. I mean, this folds down and fits in the pocket quite easily, no problems there. But of course, if you're a commercial operator, it doesn't matter what the size is, you need to register and be licensed before you fly. There's a few other material design compromises DJI had to make for this drone. Of course, it's made of a lighter plastic than you might be used to for other DJI drones, and that includes quite a bit of flex on the propeller arms, for example. Now, the rear arms are good and solid, but for some reason these fronts have a lot of flex to them. I imagine that's to help with their resilience so that they bend instead of snapping. But as you watch them twist around, it may feel like these are cheap plastic. But so far, no complaints. Okay, so I've talked about the bigger drones, the Mavic 2 Pro, $1,700 normal price these days, $1,449 initial sales price. I talked about the Mavic 2 Zoom, $1,249 initial sale price. The Mavic Pro back in 2016, $999 for the base package. The Mavic Air, $799. The DJI Spark, $499. But the DJI Mavic Mini, $399 starting price, $499 for that Fly More combo. So not only is this the lightest drone DJI's ever produced, it's the most affordable as well. That makes this drone far more accessible than ever before. Now don't get me wrong, you're gonna find lots of drones for under 500 bucks. You're gonna find tons of them at the local store for $30. And that's a great place to start, especially if you have a child in your life, you're just looking to give them a toy to get started with. Spend $30, $40, just buy a toy class drone, get them the experience in the air, so that when they're ready to move up, they're not gonna crash it immediately. But in terms of buying a DJI product, this is the one. And beyond that, I have yet to see a drone under $500 that is this capable and has especially this good of a camera. And that should be the selling point for this class of drone for any of you out there. If you're looking for a racing drone or just a toy, you go ahead and spend less, get a different machine. If you want a flying camera and you do not want to spend more than $500, there's no other option. Buy the DJI Mavic Mini. Just be ready. It's a gateway drone. You'll be wanting to move up to a bigger, more powerful, pro class drone in no time. But for now, we'll wrap up with the DJI Mavic Mini, a superb machine for the price tag, and a very user-friendly platform, able to take off in places many other drones can't. Just be aware of that weight limit. Here in the United States, the FAA's limit is based on your total takeoff weight. So there's the irony of this. You have a drone that's superb for new pilots and ones that don't want to commit to registering before they take off. But to make it as safe as possible for these pilots, you'd be tempted to put the propeller guards on there. Of course, once those guards are on there, the drone weighs too much and needs to be registered before you fly. Funny little catch, but hey, the drone is there, it's capable, well worth it. Please go check it out. We like this drone. We give DJI a thumbs up for putting the DJI Mavic Mini onto the market. If you like what you're seeing, we appreciate those thumbs up as well. And while you're down there, consider subscribing and hit that bell icon to make sure you see what comes next. What's next, as we mentioned, will be a little bit of camera overview and some features overviews for the new DJI Mavic Mini. We're trying to get that Skydio 2 in-house, and we're only a few short weeks away from CES 2020. Thanks again for joining us, guys. Please go ahead and hit those comments below if you have any thoughts you want to share about the Mavic Mini. And then of course head on over to the website to check out all of the details in our written review of the DJI Mavic Mini and a bunch of our other coverage as well. If you're ready to buy, we've got links in the description below. As always, we thank you for joining us. Get out there and fly safe.